Hi, I hope you all are doing well, and this video is about the books that I own. I wanted to, give a tour of the books that I have, and yeah, so let's get started with the video. So the first book is Anne Frank's The Diary of a Young Girl. This book is actually a diary. This was a diary that was written by Anne Frank during her hiding when there were extreme atrocities happening to Jewish people during World War II. So she went into hiding with her family and everything that she wrote during that time. So it's that, the diary in the form of this book, and I highly recommend reading this book to understand that what happens to people who are going through all of the atrocities, and what they go through when they're when there is a war going on in their country. So Anne Frank's The Diary of a Young Girl. Next one is Sputnik Sweetheart by Murakami. This was my first Murakami novel, and I have made a separate video where I talk about what I liked about this book. I absolutely loved reading this one, and it's about this girl and his best friend and another girl with whom she is in love with. So I really enjoyed reading this book. So yeah, Murakami's Sputnik Sweetheart. Next one is Sita by Amish, and I have not read this book. I have read few pages, but I keep I just could not finish reading this book because I would pick up any other book while reading this one, and then I would forget that I was reading it. So I have to read this one. I have not read it yet. So Sita by Amish. Next book is John Green's The Fault in Our Star. I did not like this book at all, and I don't know, I have read other romantic novels, young adult romance novels, but I did not like this one. A lot of people really love this book, really love the story, the character and everything, but I found it to be too cringy and I did not enjoy reading, and I do not recommend it to anyone. Next is Twinkle Khanna's The Legend of Laxmi Prasad. This is a collection of 4 short stories, and I think 3 short stories, yes. And out of these 3 stories, there was one story on which a movie was based. The movie name was Bad Man, in which Akshay Kumar was in the lead role, Akshay Kumar and Radhika Apte. So I think I can give you the Sanitary Man from a Secret Land. So yeah, this was the story on which the movie was based on. And other than that, if the weather permits, this is the second story, and then Salam Noniappa. So these 3 stories, I do not remember anything about these stories. I probably read it in 2015 or 16. The year it came, I read it at that time, and I do not remember anything about this book. I just remember that there was one story that I really liked, but which one is it, I do not remember. So yeah, The Legends of Lakshmi Prasad by Twinkle Khanna. Next is The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. This is a very famous book, and a lot of people really love this book. Again, I read this book around that time, 7-8 years ago, and I do not remember anything about this book, but yeah, I do remember that I enjoyed reading this one. There was one difficulty that I struggled to remember the name of the characters, because I think the names were a bit difficult to remember. So Arundhati Roy's The God of Small Things. A lot of these books I actually bought from store on MRP. I used to buy at that time because It's a funny story that I would go to these interviews, and every time I was not selected, I would buy a book so that I don't feel bad about not getting selected in those interviews. So I would go in the stores and buy these books on MRP. This is also one of those books. It's not a very inspiring story, and now when I think about it, I find it funny. Yeah, so you will know that how many interviews I got rejected. So yeah, To Have or To Be by Eric Fromm, and it's a good book. You can read this one. Eric Fromm, To Have or To Be. It's the same thing that in that movie Shahid Kapoor used to say. Yeah, I think he used to say this only, to have or to be. Yeah. Anyways, moving on. Next is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. I don't know. Yeah, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. There is a movie based on this with the same name, and Emma Watson was in the lead role. I think this book is good for the people who, I mean, for teenagers. I think teenagers will relate to it mostly. It's about this boy who was in college, and yeah, this whole story about his life. I actually do not remember this one too. It's been so long when I read this one, but yeah, I like this one, and you can also read it. It's this one is also a recommended book. So yeah, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. You can look at the cover. So these were the actors in the movie. If you have watched the movie, you will know that this was a good movie as well as book. Yeah. Next one is The Namesake by Jhumpa Lahiri. This is her first ever novel, and she mostly writes about immigrants, and here also she's talking about this guy whose name is Gogol, and she has tried to make a connection between his name and where the place where he is living and how alienated he feels there. Initially he was not very, he used to not feel so much about his traditions. He did not understand the traditional values of India from where her parents were, and but later on he understands everything. He then feels that it's his root in India that he starts appreciating. So it's all about that. I did not enjoy it as much as I thought I would, and yeah, I actually struggled to finish this book, so I do not recommend it to anyone. But if you are a Jhumpa Lahiri fan, so you can read it. The next book is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and this book is about what ifs. So there is this woman, Nora, who is depressed and she takes her life, and then she ends up in this endless library where there are innumerous possibilities of the life she can live, and she just has to choose one life and see if that's the life she wants to live or not. Yeah, that's all this book is about. It's like that if you would have done something different, the outcome would have been different. So do you really choose one life where you are happy, or do you keep hovering between different options? So it's about that. And how do you choose that one life? What is it that you want from your life that will make you happy? So Midnight Library. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. This is a very famous book by Charlotte Bronte, one of the famous books by her, and this is also highly recommended. Yeah, I read this one and I really liked it, so I recommend you reading this book. Next is Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. This is also highly recommended. It's not that thick, it's only 70 pages. Not even 70 pages, so you can just finish it in one go. And this book is about Gregor, who turned into this huge bug in just one day, and then what happens to him, how he's navigating his life and everything. So Metamorphosis, highly recommended. Next is The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This book is a fantasy fiction. It was gifted by one of my friends, and I was not expecting it to be such a good read, but I thoroughly enjoyed reading this one. And yeah, so I have made a separate video about this book too. You can check out that video. I will put a link somewhere here, so you can go and actually check that out. So yeah, The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This one is word power made easy. I participated in a competition in college and I got this book there. So it's a very helping, helping in understanding the meaning of words. So if there are words that you do not understand, you do not know the meaning of, so there are ways that you can find out the meaning. So it's that whole book. You can see that how I have read it. There are exercises in the book that you can do. You can see. I have finished this book and I really loved reading it. The exercises were so good. I mean, they actually help. You can see that I have done the exercises too. Yeah, word power made easy. I recommend this book. Next is The 40 Rules of Love, my absolute favorite. And this book also I bought at the time when I got rejected in an interview. I bought it at the MRP from this store, and I really loved it. I have made a video on this one too, and if you want to check out that video, I will put a link of that video too, so you can follow the link. So this is absolute favorite of mine, The 40 Rules of Love. Next is Anxious People by Frederick Backman. This is the first ever novel that I read from Frederick Backman. I loved the writing style, and this book is such a page turner that you cannot tell what's going to happen next, and that's what kept me going. I thoroughly enjoyed this novel. You can see the book. I really loved reading this, and I recommend reading this book. There are other books by him, A Man Called Ove, and there is a book series, The Bear Town, The Winner, and then there is another book, I do not remember the title of that is a part of that book series. So all these books are highly recommended. So yeah, there is also a series on this one. I don't know if it's in English language or any other language. So yeah, Anxious People, The Tattooist of Auschwitz. And this book is about this guy who was sent to this concentration camp in Auschwitz, where he was given this job of tattooing the arms of the prisoner, and he would just tattoo the numbers on the arms. And he found a girl there, and they fell in love, and then they hoped for a future where out of this concentration camp where they will live happily. So it's about that, the whole story of them. So Ikigai, this is a very famous book on how the Japanese work, what is the the mystery behind them being so workaholic and living happily, and this book is all about that. Next is The Subtle Art by Mark Manson, and I enjoyed reading this book too. I actually found the language not very compelling in the initial few pages, and I gave up reading, but then I thought of trying again, and the later chapters were something that I absolutely loved. and this turned out to be one of those self-help books that I really loved. So I recommend this one to everyone. Just, Mark Manson. Next is 1984 by George Orwell. This is also a highly recommended book. This is on totalitarianism and the society, what happens to the society in that kind of system. So it's also a highly recommended book of all time. There is another book by George Orwell, Animal Farm, which is also highly recommended. So yeah, 1984 by George Orwell. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. This is also a self-help book, and it helps you, it helps you to achieve your goals, whether a very small goal or very great goal. I mean, it helps you to achieve your goals by talking to your subconscious mind, by convincing your subconscious mind, by letting your subconscious mind help you achieve those goals. So yeah, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. Then The Tuesdays with Morrie by Mitch Albom. This book is about the conversation between Mitch Albom and Professor Morrie, who was diagnosed with ALS, which is an incurable disease. And this book is a special book because this guy Morrie, he is about to die, so he's going to tell you the truth about everything. So they talk about life and different aspects of life. So yeah. Next is Elif Shafak's The Island of Missing Trees. I really love the cover. It's so beautiful, but I did not enjoy reading it. I tried to read it more than once, but I just could not finish reading this one. I thought that the book was all over the place. I could not relate it with this one, and I just did not like it at all. Next is The Alchemist, and this was probably the first novel on self-help that I read. And anyone who is just starting on reading books and want to read something on something that will inspire them, I recommend this book. The Alchemist. Then the next books I have is Ideas and Opinions. I have not read this book. I don't know where I got this book from, and maybe I'll read it. Why Is God Laughing by Deepak Chopra. This book is about this comedian who has to do some serious self-retrospection about his life, and it's all about that. Then next one is 12 Rules for Life by Jordan B. Peterson. I tried reading this one too, but I could not because I found the examples given in this book to be outdated. I just could not relate to anything that was written as an example, to prove the rules. So yeah, I will try to read it again. Maybe this time I will finish the whole book. But yeah, Life is what you make it by Preeti Shenoy. This book is about this girl who had bipolar syndrome, and initially it was undiagnosed, so she was going through episodes of highs and lows, and she would not understand why it's happening. Her family would not understand, and then finally she goes to this hospital where they tell her what it's exactly, and then after that how she gets treated, and then how she from there on lives her life. So it's all about that. It's a good book. Robin Sharma's The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. This is not my book, but yeah, I've read it. This is also a good book on self-help, and yeah, it's a good book. Next one I have World's Greatest Short Stories. I bought this from railway station when I was traveling somewhere. I've not read any story from it. Guilty. Yeah, so I will probably read it, but yeah. Next is Zikr by Husna. This is a collection of short stories. You can see some of these poems I really liked. So Zikr. And I have another book here. I hope I have this book, Skill with People, and I have not read this book, but it's a very short book, so probably I'll be able to finish it in one go. So yeah. Then I have another shelf where I have kept all the books that I bought from book fair, and if you want to know what all books I bought from the fair, you can check out the video that I made about those books. So I will put a link of that video in the description, so you can just follow the link and just watch it. So yeah, that was all, and I will see you in another video. And if you liked this this video, then please like, share, and if you have not subscribed yet, consider subscribing to this video. Okay, bye bye.